Hi, everybody. Welcome to the CoderZ League 2020 webinar. We're really excited you're here. We're going to start in just about, say 1 to 2 minutes from now as people find their way onto the webinar or get settled in with their control console. I'm Jim McVetti. I'll be your host and facilitator for today's call. I'm joined by two distinguished league organizers, Yossi and Trevor. They're either to the left or to the right or somewhere on my Brady Bunch screen. Yossi, Trevor, welcome. Glad you're here.
Hey.
Attendees, you are in listen-only mode for this webinar, but on your webinar console is a little panel that says questions. If you have questions, drop them in there, and our moderators on the back end, who you can't see, will be tracking those questions, doing their best to answer them either in the chat. You'll also see me looking at the console, trying to track your questions and make sure we have everything covered. So I see folks rolling in. A lot of you were early, waiting patiently. Others of you are just joining in. You are welcome, if you're so inclined, to let us know where you're from. And you can just go ahead and type it in as a question or as a chat. And I, for one, for example, hail from Scranton, Pennsylvania, Northeast PA. Trevor's up in New Hampshire, and Yossi comes to us from afar. Where are you, Yossi?
I'm in Israel. It's a little country in the Middle East.
The little country with a big heart. So here we have people from Alabama, Olympia, Washington, Livingston, California, Cedar Grove, New Jersey. Oh, some more Washington folks. Glad you're here. Sonoma County. A couple of folks from Texas. Glad you're here. So far, none of my neighbors from Scranton have arrived, but I'm getting jealous at some of these places. Miami, Virginia. Oh, there's someone from East Stroudsburg. There's Northeast Pennsylvania representing. Welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. We have, oh gosh, we're going to have a little more than 100 educators on this webinar. You're still rolling in, so I'm going to go ahead and wait just about 2 more minutes until we get the official broadcast underway. In the meantime, let us know where you're from. I see Atlanta. I see Minnesota. Just wonder if it's snowing there yet. Can't be long. We've got good representation from Virginia. So the Commonwealth representing. Glad you're here. And we already have a question, so we're going to flag that one. This is, can we divide our group of 40 into different competition teams, or will they have to compete as one? We'll cover exactly those kinds of questions. Glad you posted it. Washington State representing. Oh, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how Washington versus Virginia and everyone else in between. Welcome from Canada. Glad you're here. Our neighbors to the north. And I'm glad to hear there's fabulous weather in Minnesota. I don't know if I believe you because the way you define fabulous weather is different than the rest of the world, but we're glad you're here nonetheless. Folks, we're just about to get started. All I'm doing is warming us up a little bit. I'm Jim McVetti. For those of you who have just joined, I am just a simple moderator here to ask questions on your behalf of Yossi and Trevor, who tell me they know everything about everything. So we'll put them to the test today as we go through CoderZ League 2020. Really excited you're here. We have some more questions, including how to divide teams. And if you need to find the chat, some friends cannot find it. Okay, great. So on your control panel for GoToWebinar is a series of triangles. Some of them are pointing to the right and some of them are pointing down. You'll find a little triangle next to the word questions. If it's pointing to the right, click it, it'll point down, expand a window, and then you can drop your questions in there. Hopefully that was helpful. This recorded session will be available for the low price of nothing, totally free. We'll send it out, make sure you have it. If you want to send me cookies, baked goods, always welcome. Hello from Ghana, we're glad you're here. I'm trying to figure out what time it must be in Ghana. Yossi, what time is it where you are?
To me, it's about 9 p.m.
Oh, okay, it's about 9 p.m. So this will be interesting. If you're posting questions, you won't be able to see other questions is my guess, but all of the moderators here on the screen, as well as our facilitators in the back end, will see them. We'll do our best to address everything we can. So we've gone well past the magic number of 100, and the numbers keep climbing. So I think it's time we get started. So with that said, welcome everyone, the CoderZ League 2020 webinar. We're really excited to have you. Today we're going to cover a lot of ground, including brief introductions to your speakers. We want to recover some of what the CoderZ League is about, and then we're going to walk you through details, including the stages, the scoring, the awards, and all the resources we have to set you as educators up for success. So, as I mentioned, if you're just joining on, my name's Jim. I'm simply the facilitator here, designed to help channel your questions to our experts. We have Yossi Gershon, who comes to us from Israel right now. So he's up late, working hard to make sure the CoderZ League is a success. And Trevor, you come to us from the mothership up in New Hampshire. Guys, welcome.
CoderZ League headquarters here in Derry, New Hampshire.
Derry, New Hampshire. Yes, exactly. We're glad you're here. Yossi, give us a 30-second introduction. Who are you anyway?
So I'm the product manager at CoderZ League, and I come from the gaming world. I've been invited as I've been a gaming expert and product manager at gaming companies, and I've been brought as someone who is supposed to make the studying experience for the kids in the league exciting as much as playing games, just to make the league more special, to make it more appealing for kids, to make sure they're not only studying, but they're also having a blast while doing so.
Well, we're glad you're here. And you know what? I have to say, you look like a gamer come through the education space. You've got the look going on. I recognize I don't have it. Trevor, you're like kind of in between. Like, you could be a gamer, may not. Either way, we're all here for the same outcome, which is to give you guys a really good experience. So you're going to see me look to my right every once in a while, and that's just me trying to channel your questions to make sure we're good. So I want to ground us for a minute in what it is we're here to do, and that is to put on a groundbreaking international competition. So we've got 3 continents represented on this call alone, maybe 4 by the time all is said and done, with hundreds of people on the line. And the idea is to deliver an experience that engages students regardless of their experience by giving them exciting challenges and opportunities to work collaboratively. So this is going to be an entirely virtual competition. So unlike years past and other competitions right now, we are able to deliver a full experience, but entirely virtual. So we're glad you're here. Now, for some of you who have joined just because you're wondering, is this thing for you? You're going to learn an awful lot about how it works. If in the meantime you think you want to register, it's pretty easy. Just go to coderzleague.com/register, and it's very, very easy to get started. I think what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the guiding principles behind this, something we don't want to lose sight of. Then we're going to show you a really exciting preview video, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts. But as we enter into this competition, I want us to remember that it's our goal collectively, the organizers of this event, as well as you educators who are putting it on for your students, that it really is for all students. And that's been a guiding principle from the outset 5 years ago. No coding experience required. That doesn't mean you can't be successful. We really also want to make this an international event, continue to amp up the role of STEM, coding, robotics, and virtual learning in every corner of the world. It's good for us, it's good for our kids. The other thing we're trying to do with this league is to make it very accessible. So the idea is that you simply need internet connection, any computer, so that everyone can have access while having fun. So those are our principles, and we stand by it. What I'd like to do is show you a really exciting preview of the competition, and then we'll turn it over to Yossi, who will take us all the way through the nuts and bolts. So folks, get ready for what we think is a really exciting video.
Welcome to CoderZ League. CoderZ League is a fully virtual competition where the students learn the principles of coding while programming a virtual robot in a computer-generated environment. The inaugural CoderZ League session is comprised of 2 divisions, Junior and Pro. The Junior League is for 5th to 8th graders and introduces concepts in computer science, as well as basic principles of physics and math, such as mechanics, optics, and geometry, utilizing robotic sensors and calculating and simple math problems are also two common themes in this CoderZ League division. Students in grades 7 to 12 will compete in CoderZ League Pro. This league introduces competitors to the professionally used and world-renowned Python programming language. However, no prior coding experience is required to play. The CoderZ League consists of two types of teams: small teams of up to 5 students and classes of up to 30 students. Every team must assign a team captain who will be responsible for supplying the team's name and flag design. Teams will be divided into regions based on geographic location. All teams in a region will face off against each other in 5 different games. The league has 3 stages. In the first stage, known as the Preliminaries, the teams will complete a series of missions and challenges. In every mission, the students can win up to 100 points each, meaning the same mission can be completed by multiple students and award the team more points. The final mission of every game is called a challenge. The challenge will test all the concepts that the students have learned so far. There is a total of 4 challenges, 1 for each game. Unlike regular missions, every team can only be represented once on a single challenge, meaning the student who completed the challenge with the highest score represents his team. At the end of the Preliminaries, the top scoring teams on every challenge will win a lot of points. The next stage is the group stage. While all teams advance to the group stage, the top seeded teams will be placed in more favorable groups. During the group stage, the final challenge will be revealed, and the teams will need to create a code for their robot as quickly as possible. The team captains will then submit their codes and then face off against each opponent in their group for an exciting 1v1 match. Matches will be streamed live on twitch.tv/GoCoderZ. The top 2 teams from each group will advance to the playoffs and duke it out in a knockout stage until the regional champion is declared. The regional champions will then go on to play in the CoderZ League World Finals for a chance to become not only world champions, but also inductees in the CoderZ Hall of Fame. For more information, go to CoderZLeague.com to see the exact start dates for each of the stages. So, what do you say? Think your team's got what it takes? Join CoderZ League for a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Well, that's got me pretty excited. I don't know about you guys. I'm going to hand it over to Yossi right now. And Yossi, I'm pretty pumped. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty psyched. So hopefully that answered some of your initial questions as you folks started to prompt your questions. I see them here. We've acknowledged them, including the breakdown of groups and teams, as well as some of the tech specs. We will cover those in just a few moments. Right now, Yossi, I'm going to hand over the control to you to walk us through some of the nuts and bolts, and then we'll come back and try to answer some more of your questions. Over to you.
Awesome. So yeah, that video got me super excited. I think, you know, the league, it just embodies the spirit of both competition and studying, which I think is so exciting and refreshing for students, especially while distant learning. So here I am on the CoderZ League website. I'm showing you guys stuff that are already online, and you can watch them on your free time. So I'm gonna go over everything, some stuff that's been on the video, just to make sure everybody gets it. And let's dive right in. So here is the how it works page on the website, which states how the dates and how everything works. So the first stage of the league is the preliminaries, and the preliminaries are just they are a month of studying, getting to know the program, getting to know the platform, and students can go on and do missions and challenges, which are both technically lessons. Those are lessons where the students need to control the robot by coding and make the robot do very specific tasks. The missions are the bread and butter, where they study how the robot works and how the game that they're playing is played out. As you can see, there are 4 games for each league, meaning 4 for junior and 4 for pro. I don't know if you got a chance to notice, but the video stated that there are 2 age groups. The junior is the kind of the younger audience, which only uses Blockly. Blockly is a drag and drop interface where the students learn more of the principles of coding, such as how loops work and how do simple commands function in an orderly fashion as they code. And on the Pro League, which is for the more the older students, they can choose between doing Blockly and Python. They can do both, meaning no student needs any prior knowledge in computer science, and nor does the teacher. Meaning any teacher can lead his team in CoderZ League, which is something that's very important for us. And the missions are doing a great job at explaining what needs to be done, and the students get the explanations that they need in order to understand how to solve the missions. So there isn't kind of a frustrating experience where the students kind of tackle a challenge and then they feel like they have no idea what they need to do, because the missions have prepared them for this exact challenge. So as I said, there are 4 games. We'll go over the games in a bit, but I just want to talk about the structure as of this moment. So every game has a couple of missions and a challenge, which the challenge is the final mission of every game. The challenge is a super hard mission where the students need to create a code that is superior to other teams' codes. Board, and you get a score, and every team is represented by the student who got the highest score on the challenge. And this in the missions, we're more encouraging students to study on their own and on their own pace, but a challenge is where the team has to come together and kind of create a solution together to create an optimal solution that gives them the most points. And then after they complete the challenge, they are representing their team on the leaderboard, and the top teams on the leaderboard get a lot of points, as the video says. But the missions also give points, and every student can do the mission, meaning if my team has 5 students, they can all get 100 points on a single mission. So even if my teammate has done the specific mission, I can still do it and award my team points. We're doing it to kind of encourage everyone on the team to participate. So even if some of the challenges are a bit harder for some of the students, they can still do the missions and give the team a lot of points, which is super important. So this is the preliminary stage. You're going to do missions and challenges and get points for both, and they will be placed on the leaderboard. At the end of the preliminaries, all the teams will go over to the group stage, meaning you cannot get disqualified on the preliminaries. Even if you performed, even if you had little time to play, you're still in it, because we really want this part for everyone to enjoy and still make it to the group stage. The thing is, if you have a better score on the preliminaries, you'll be placed in a better group, just like in traditional sports, where the number one seed plays against the number 8 seed, where you have 8 teams. In the same fashion, it's going to happen on teams will be placed in the groups according to how well they performed, but they all make it to the group stage. When they make it to the group stage, an additional challenge will be revealed, a 5th challenge for a brand new game that I cannot disclose here, because it's going to happen live, and it's going to be a broadcast, and it's going to be super cool, just like in gaming where they have reveals for new games or new consoles. We're going to do the same thing where we reveal live a video showcasing the new game. And this new game is going to be super exciting, because it's going to be a virtual team versus team. And the missions and challenges, and as it happened on the previous years of CoderZ League, what we call the CRCC, it was mostly teams doing individual challenges. But this year, we're really bringing it up a notch, where we let teams play against each other. Every team is going to be placed into a group of 4 teams. And on the group stage, the teams are going to have 2 weeks where they have to create a code, a single code, where they submit, and their robot plays according to the code they submit. The robot will be pitched into an enemy robot, which they have to play against. Just like a game of soccer, just a new game, which I'm not going to disclose. And they're going to play team versus team, and there's going to be a decisive winner to every match. The teams are going to be, the games are going to be streamed live on Twitch. I repeat, the games will be streamed live on Twitch. Twitch is a platform where gamers broadcast the games they play live. We want to do it the same way, since it's a way that the students are very used to. They know Twitch better than we do, and it's a platform that does a good job of exciting students and bringing live entertainment to the maximum. So all the matches will be streamed live, and every team is going to play against every team in the group stage. Then the top 2 teams of each group will advance to the regional playoffs. Meaning, if I'm a team in Group 1, I'm going to play against 3 other teams in Group 1, and for a win, I will get 2 points. A draw, I will get, excuse me, for a win, I'll get 3 points. A draw will give me 1 point, and a loss will give me 0 points. So there will be a calculation, and the top 2 teams from each group will advance to the regional playoffs, which is a total of 32 teams from the previous 64. On the regional playoffs, the teams are going to play in a series of knockout rounds. Meaning, if I pass the group stage and I'm still in it, I'm going to be pitched against another team, and I'm going to, just like I've done in the group stage, I'm going to have another chance to rework my code and resubmit a new code due to the improvements after watching my robot playing against 3 other teams in the group stage. I'm going to have a chance to improve that video, code, and then I will play with my robot against another team. If I win, I go on to the next round, and that way we're going to have 4 rounds until we get to the finals, and then the winner of the finals will go on to the world finals. So 1 team from every region will go on to play in the world finals. The regions are kind of these divisions of 64 teams, where after you sign up, we're going to take every team that sign up and divide them into regions, depending on geographic location. Don't worry if you're from a country that you feel like you're going to be the only team or one of only 5 teams. We're going to have a region exactly for those teams, which we're going to call the global region, for all teams that are from places where there aren't enough teams. And everyone are going to play in a single region unless they win the region finals, where they have a chance to play in the world finals, which is the winner of every region against each other. Meaning, if there are a total of 10 regions in the junior league, then there are going to be 10 teams who make it onto the world finals, and then play against each other until there's a world champion. So super exciting. This is just like gaming or traditional sports, where the teams have time to play against each other and feel the spirit of competition, but they still get this preliminary stage where they have a chance to do more kind of laid back studying. And just to make it clear, all the missions and challenges are open from the very second the league starts. So on October 19, all the content is open, except for the final challenge, which will only be revealed on November 16. Everything is open until the competition is over, meaning the students have a lot of time to play the missions and challenges and just have fun with it. That's how the competition works. I know some of you might have questions. We'll answer them at the end, but everything you want to know is right here on the website. Everything's right here. The video, you can rewatch it. It's also on the website right here on how it works. So you can just watch it over and over again and kind of have a chance to understand how everything works. So this is how the league works. I want to dive a bit further and show you some really cool stuff. So you've seen a lot of footage from games throughout the video, but let's talk a bit about each game. So those 4 games from the Junior League. The first game is Robogolf. And one thing that's important to note here that the games are in varying difficulties. It's important for us to make sure that every student has a chance at the competition. So even if there is a student who's not really into math, not really into coding, but he really wants to participate and kind of try it out, there are games that are exactly for that, just to get a taste of things, and they're not too intricate. So that's something very important to emphasize. So Robogolf is that kind of game. It's a game where the robot has a golf ball or many golf balls as the missions get more difficult, and they have these putts just like in golf, and they have to push the balls. There are points to each putt, and the student has to decide how and in which way to push the ball. Disco Blocks is a fantastically visual game where the students encounter math problems. So that doesn't only include coding, but also very simple math problems such as multiplication, division, and very simple arithmetics, so that the students control a robot that solves these math problems, and they need to create a code that does it the most efficiently. There's Farm Fever, which is it's a decision-making game where the students have to overcome multiple obstacles and press buttons in order to open gates. And those are kind of riddle games. And then there's Lasers versus Balloons, which is a super fun and exciting game where the students get to control lasers and pop balloons, which give them points using mirrors. So very simple optics there, teaching them some very simple angular angles. So yeah, this is a fantastically visual a game that I think the students who are more into cool stuff and want to try something that's more cool will really like it. The Pro League has another 4 super exciting games. Those games are a bit more difficult. Those games take you to the limit as of how the code you write can suit any situation. And what I mean by that is, let's look at Battery Raid. Battery Raid is a game where the robot is on a deserted island, and there are batteries that are placed randomly, and the robot has to use sensors in order to find those batteries and collect them in order to get energy to stay longer on the island. And the robot's job is to stay alive as much as possible, which is a super fun and exciting game. We also have Space Chase, which is you control a spaceship, and there are asteroids, and you need to collect booster packs, which give you power, which you can later on use to shoot lasers, and you need to dodge the asteroids, and you need to control the spaceship speed in order to not collide into asteroid and lose all your speed. And your job is to get as further as possible. Clearaway is a game where the robot is on a platform and fruit fall from the sky, and you need to shove them away to make sure the platform doesn't sink. So again, you need to use color sensors and motion sensors and a gyroscope in order to understand how to place yourself in a way that you can survive on this platform. And Line on Mars is a completely different game where you need to use color sensors in order to detect the line and make the robot follow it and pass through these interdimensional gates and get more time to get even further. Each of those games is special because you can always make your code better, and you can always make something a bit more optimized. You can make the robot go even further, and it gets more challenging as you go. So those, as a gamer, I say that those are highly replayable challenges where the students can do them over and over and over again and still find ways to improve what they're doing. And this is something that really relates to a lot of students. So this is kind of very small overview about the games. As I said, there is a 5th challenge, which is a 5th whole new game for every league, which will be revealed on November live. I want to take you a little bit into the CoderZ platform. I know that some of you are a bit confused and want to know, like, okay, so you talked about these games, you talked about the missions, you talked about the challenges, but how does it look like? Like, how does it work? How do the students do it? So everything's right here. This is a list of missions inside Robogolf, which is, as I said, is a game in the Junior League, and you have all those missions. Each one of those is a mission, and the students have a score, and after doing 14 missions, they have this challenge. The students, as I said earlier, can choose to skip over the missions and go straight to the challenge if they think they are good enough. But sometimes they'll find it so that doing the missions will just help them do the challenge. So they'll go back. But if you think, if a student is ambitious enough and wants to just jump right into it, just like a gamer who just want to skip the tutorial and jump straight into the gameplay, then the challenge is open to anyone once the league starts. I also prepared one of the missions just to kind of show you, give you a taste of what it looks like. So this is our robot. This is Evie, and this is one of the stages. And as you can see, there are holes, and there are these kind of golf balls that the robot has to push. And I also want to showcase how simple Blockly is. This is English, very simple. You don't need to be a coder to understand what's going on here, but if you are, you can understand that these are very, very simple kind of principles for programmers, and studying them so early on can give students a huge advantage when later on they tackle real coding. So those are super simple tasks that anyone can do, that anyone can try out, but under the surface, there are many ways to use these tasks to create super complicated and intriguing codes that make completing a mission from something that's very simple to something that's way more complex, and making the robot do things way more efficiently, and we give more points for solutions that are more that are optimized. So if I press run simulation, the robot, as you can see, will go on and perform this solution that we built, and it will complete the mission and get points. And as you can see, everything here is very much like a game. There are icons, and at the end of the mission, they will get this prompt that says you got this and that points, and they will also get a reward for completing the mission in less time. So they are pushed to do things more efficiently. And yeah, that's one of the missions, one of many missions, and it gets more complicated as the league progresses. So this is just kind of a very simple showcase of how does it look like inside one of the games. Here I want to show you how does the team panel looks like. This is the student's point of view of watching his team profile. Every team has a name and a flag, and which the teacher can select, and they can see here how well the team is performing. They can see for every game what is the team's rank, what is its score, and what is the student's score. Also here they can see the team's overall rank, what its score, and how much I've contributed to my team score. There's also access to the leaderboard, which showcases all the teams, the top teams, and how well my team is performing. And the teacher profile, there's also a small interface where you can see all the students in the team. You can also see who represents the team on each challenge, and you can see all the students, how much contribution they have, when were they last logged in to the platform, and you can also select the team captain. The team captain, just a brief statement about this, is a student that the teacher chooses that helps lead the team. He later on in the final challenge is the one who's in charge of submitting the team's code, and he helps select team flag design and team name. And just kind of the last thing, everything I talked about has an in-depth explanation on the website. Under our leagues, you will find those two icons, which each take you to a PDF folder, to a PDF file that has a very in-depth explanation of how everything works, how do you calculate score. This is the league rules. We call it the user guide. And we've also added a teacher guide. And the teacher guide is kind of, I want to be a teacher on CoderZ League, but I'm not sure if I understand it enough, or I'm not sure what's going to happen on October 19th. I'm not sure. I'm a bit worried that I don't understand it as much as to know what happens on the day that the league starts. So we have everything here for the teachers. Both of those PDFs are updating from week to week as more stuff is added. Also, when the final challenge will be revealed, those two sections will also go on to both the teacher guide and the student guide. So you have everything I talked about in depth, so that you will understand everything that needs to be known about the league right here on the website. So I've talked a lot. I'm sure you have many questions, but Jim, it's on to you.
Great, right on. Thanks, Yossi. I know you covered a lot of ground, and folks, I have been tracking your questions in the console. So, Trevor, you might have to give Yossi a chance to catch his breath here, but I'm going to fire a few questions at you. Folks, we will do our best to address them all, but we have hundreds of people on the line, so I'm going to do my best here. I'm going to start with asking you to break down. So there have been some questions about the nature of teams. If there's a team of 5, or if a group is signed up as 30 or 40, or in a scenario where a school has signed up, say, 60. What's the team breakout look like? Can they submit, make multiple submissions within a large group? Because behind that is also some concern about small teams versus large teams. So Trevor, can you unpack that for us a little bit? Or maybe it's Yossi, I'm not sure, but one of you needs to unpack that a little bit.
No, I'll be glad to. So when schools register for CoderZ League, you're registering for a class, or you have the option to register as a team. A team is 5 students or up to 5 students. You have the ability to register for a single class, which is a class of up to 30 students, or you can do school registration. School registration is 240 students or up to 10 classes with a maximum of in that case, it would be 24 students, but the maximum size of a class can be 30 students, if that makes sense. So the objective is you're going to have one class, one team that's participating in CoderZ, unless you're a school, which you can have multiple classes that are participating in the league. Is there an advantage for smaller teams or for larger teams? We think not. During the preliminary stages, your score is going to be an aggregate score of all your student scores that's being applied to your class score. So there might be a slight disadvantage there during those preliminary stages, but the goal of that preliminary stage is to get all students involved. We want every student in your class to experience coding. We don't want to just take that small group of 5. We want to get everybody involved. We want it to be inclusive. We want everybody to experience some aspect of CoderZ. And if you do one mission, you get a couple of points on it, your points count. We want that student to feel like they're representing their team, representing their class, and get them involved as part of the competition. During the latter stages, during the group stages, you're going to have one individual who's going to be representing your class, whether that's a class, team, or individual. But that one individual is going to be representing your entire team on that leaderboard. So only one individual per team, per class, will be able to represent that entity on the leaderboards. And whoever that has that highest score will be the individual that represents the team. So there is the opportunity for more than one individual to represent their class. However, it's only going to be that whoever's got the highest score in that particular challenge.
And can a different individual represent at different times throughout?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, great.
So whoever's got the highest score is going to take over ownership of that leaderboard for their school. So they're going to be representing their class, their team, their school.
Okay.
If I can address it, but just by one sentence. Since you have both challenges and missions open right from the start, so every student can choose whatever, to do what suits them best. Some students will just want to go over all the missions because they're completionists, as we gamers call it. And some of the students will just want to tackle one challenge and do it all the way. That's kind of how we see it. And, I think for some of the challenges, even some students together will work together on a single solution for a single challenge.
Okay, so questions might continue, folks, and Trevor and Yossi will be available, and we will make this webinar recording available as well. I want to hit a couple of others, including if a class has signed up with 30 students, that doesn't mean they could break into, say, 6 teams of 5, as such that they could have 6 different submissions. They're still submitting as one entity. Is that right? But because there are so many activities and challenges and missions inside, what teachers will do is assign their breakout groups inside the class of 30 to handle different challenges within. Is that right?
Jim, you are more than just a host with the most. You have definitely knowledge on the product. Yes, absolutely. So a class of 30 students, you may have student A who's participating in Robogolf, who has your highest score in the Robogolf challenge, which is representing your class on that leaderboard. You also have individual students participating in disco blocks. And you may have student B who's got the highest score in disco blocks, who is now representing your class on that leaderboard. So different students in your class are representing your class in the various challenges.
Okay, great. So a couple of other things have come up, folks, and I was taking notes along the way. So can a kid join a team after October 19th?
Yes, so registration for CoderZ League is going to be open till November 2nd. You're allowed, however many individuals you sign up for. So if you sign up for a team of 5, a class of 30, a school of 240, as long as there are seats available to your class, you can fill that with the students.
Okay. And on October 19th, preliminaries open, but teams can still join up through the 2nd. They just might have a little bit less of that preliminary space. What do the preliminary scores mean for the overall competition?
As I said, the preliminaries are a great stage for learning how to work with CoderZ. So other than the score, there's also the huge advantage that just, playing out the missions, playing out the challenges is more than other teams will just give you an advantage. When the final challenge is revealed, you will obviously be better at solving this challenge as well, since you've practiced more. But other than that, as I stated, the group stage can see the seed of the students coming from the preliminaries. So if my team was first placed on the preliminaries, due to how high the seed is, it will be in a group that almost promises it moving on to the preliminaries. So there's a huge motivation to do well in the preliminaries, since it will help you advance to the playoffs.
Okay, so preliminary scores have to do with seeding because everybody moves to the group stage. So everybody moves, but the scores you accumulate in the preliminaries will affect your standing in the group stage. Now, if you're from Puerto Rico, or you're from Ghana or some other region, you might be represented in that global team. It's yet to be determined the placement, though, at this point, right?
Yeah, the regions are still to be determined. As we look at registrations, we're going to group regions into 64. So it'll be 64 teams classes in each region. Some regions may be small and consolidated. It may just be a New York City region. It may be a Scranton, Pennsylvania region, or it may be a large region of an entire continent, depending on how many teams are in that area. So, depending on registrations, we'll look at that as registrations conclude. We'll determine that on, I guess after that November 2nd deadline, and regions will be determined, and you'll see where you sit in each where you're placed in a specific region or how large your region is.
Okay. Some other questions that have come up, folks. Now, bear in mind, this webinar is designed as a working session. So we are working on answering some of your questions here. I guess one of them came up. Do you have to complete all 4 games inside the competition, inside a certain round? You don't have to, but it is a matter of how many points you can acquire, I'm assuming.
Yeah, part of the strategy is to determine if you want to focus on challenges, or just do as many missions as possible, or just focus on one game and have an elite group of students who know everything there needs to be known about Space Chase, in order to so that every student on the team completed all the missions on Space Chase, and then when they go together to the challenge, they will perform super well. They'll be placed first, and they will get a ton of points, which will be enough to give them a high seed.
Yeah, I'd like to elaborate on that. So with each one of those final challenges in the preliminary stage, each one of those is catered a little differently, or to the skill level a little differently. For example, Robogolf is kind of catered to that fun, that golf type atmosphere, but the Disco Blocks mission is more of a math type environment. There may be some that are more focused on sensors or other skills. So start your students off, see which ones they like best. Have them start those preliminary missions and kind of go through them, and your students will excel on some. They'll find that they are better at some of those preliminary lessons than they are at others, and they might find a specific challenge that they're better at because of just kind of their background and what they're naturally good at. So one of those teacher objectives, kind of that to-do list as a teacher, is to look at your class. Start them off with everything. I'm the parent of 2 middle school kids, and my goal as a parent is to expose them to everything, get them into everything, and find out what they like, find out what they're going to excel at. I don't want to push them in a specific direction. So kind of our concept is the same concept. They have access to all 4 of the main challenges and all 4 of the preliminary packs that go along with that. Let them try them all, let them figure out which ones they like best, and have them continue on to that final challenge.
Okay, good, excellent. So I'm still going through here. One of the questions came up, if you would you recommend, so there's an educator on the line who has 7 periods, 7 sections that she teaches. So would you recommend that each of them sign up as an individual team, but you can get school-based pricing? Is that right?
Yeah, so that's kind of our intent with the class registration. We're assuming you may have 7 periods, it may be different grade levels in those 7 periods, but we're assuming you have 7 or 8 class periods, and each class period would represent as a class on the leaderboard. So we want everyone to kind of collaborate, work together as a class, communicate. We do not want them to share code with each other, but we do want them to collaborate, talk to each other, encourage each other, give each other a pat on the back, and help with struggles that may occur. So we do want to kind of see that team atmosphere, that collaboration.
Okay. Now you mentioned about sharing code inside a team. Can you share code between accounts if you're on the same team?
You cannot. You can certainly share a screen and have your team captain adopt your code and bring it into their final code that's going to be submitted for that final challenge. But there is no way to deploy and send challenges or send code back and forth.
Okay. All right. But you can have multiple teams from within a school sign up independently, and they might be in junior or they might be in pro. Okay, great. Folks, I'm going through some of your questions. I appreciate the level of engagement. I'm really doing my best to try and answer as many as I can. One question about the Pro League is, are folks that use Blockly at a disadvantage from a scoring perspective?
That we like to think no. That's one of the questions I had too when we kind of came up with the concept of having the option of Blockly versus Python. And my initial thought is that whoever's using Python is going to have this huge advantage because they can write their text code and it's going to be a little bit detailed. But I was kind of I don't want to say put in my place, but the kind of discussion went that if somebody uses Blockly in CoderZ League Pro, things are laid out for them where the code is easier to use. So it's a matter of clicking and dragging the code. The integration of the sensors is going to be a lot easier in Blockly than it is in Python. That coding for those sensors and that integration and that closed loop feedback makes it a lot more complicated to code in Python. So some of those students may be at a disadvantage because of the detail of the code.
Okay. How much time does the teacher typically going to spend on this in a given week? Is it like 1 to 2 hours a week that you think a teacher can reasonably expect? Now, some of you teachers who work, 20 hours a day might not be satisfied with that. You might want to put more time in. But is 1 to 2 hours about the benchmark?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure what the right answer for how much time a teacher needs to dedicate. It kind of also depends on your students and how much time is it required for the students to be involved. Ideally, a student can take 1 or 2 hours and participate in CoderZ League, complete a couple of missions. They're representing their team on the leaderboard. However, they're not representing very well on that leaderboard. And the school, the teams, the individuals that spend more time in CoderZ coding are going to get higher scores. They're going to represent their class or their entities at a higher place on that leaderboard. So the more time you spend in there, typically kind of the better results you're going to get.
And folks, we're going to have to move on just a little bit. Reminder that the recording will be made available, and our team has been tracking all these questions. So we'll do our best to answer each and every question that we didn't get to during this webinar. One other thing before we go on, which is if you have a team and say the captain's prepared to submit code, how does she do that? Is there a submit button that will show up inside the platform?
So for the challenges and missions, from the second you press play, just like I pressed when showing Robogolf, it records my submission, and it's as if I submitted it. On the final challenge, the captain is the one who's in charge on submitting the code. So the captain is the only one whose submission will count as the team's code. If I'm sure some of the teachers are afraid, what if the captain kind of missed a day or didn't come to school, and what happens? So is our team not going to be able to send a code? So the answer is no, since the teacher can always reassign another captain. So that's not going to be an issue.
Okay, and will they have a chance then to refine their code multiple times before submission?
Yes, the latest submission is the one that counts towards the date. Once the due date is over, then submission is no longer open. And as we said, since the competition has more than one stage, they have the group stage and then they have the playoffs. Then they will have time in between stages. And also, you have on the website a complete schedule of when you can since there's more than one broadcast. Since we're not gonna broadcast the playoffs all at the same time, we're gonna have multiple stages to that. So in between stages, the teams are gonna have a chance to refine their code, and as we move on, we'll see teams who get their code into an exceptional level, which is gonna be amazing to see.
Okay, all right. Well, tell you what, folks. We are grinding through an awful lot of content, and I appreciate you staying with us and asking all your questions. Like I said, we're tracking them. We've even reached out to a couple of folks that have put their name and email in here. So we're going to do our best to follow up. Trevor, I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute to talk about the awards, because one of the things as we move through each stage and ultimately towards the finals is that we want everyone to be set up for success. So that doesn't mean we're only giving awards to the penultimate winners. We're also talking about how we incentivize along the way. So here's a group from last year, second place team that showed up really strong. So we're really focused on inclusivity and fostering excellence across every participant. So we have an awful lot of awards that we have to cover, including in the preliminaries and all the way through. Can you just give us a brief summary? And again, folks, we'll make this webinar available to you after publication.
Yeah, so in previous years, typically it was awards were handed to regional finalist winners. We'd have the top three. There'd be an inclusiveness award and a Grace Hopper award, which we gave to the school who had the best female participation. This year we want to do more to recognize individual students. So during the preliminary stages, we're going to have various awards that you can hand out, which you can see on the slide here, that we're going to hand out during these preliminary stages. That may be during the beginning stages of preliminary, kind of during that coding the various tasks, or during that final stage where we offer maybe an MVP or a challenger award, a teamwork award. So we're going to be watching these kind of on the back side of the screen, and we'll kind of see things and then award that to either the individual or the class during those preliminary stages. And then as we advance to those group stages, which is going to be more of a challenging competition, or the challenging events where the team captain is submitting their code during that group stage, we're going to have more playoff awards. So that's where you're going to see the regional winners, your gold, silver, and bronze at that regional level. You're going to see your world challenges as they win their region. You will have world awards kind of end that group stage as well. So there'll be a lot of awards kind of handed out throughout the competition. And in general, there's a slide after this one. It was kind of more general awards that we'll be handing out. And again, this is just to recognize each one of your students. We want to recognize, the various tasks and various things. Your students are working really, really hard to write their code to do these challenges. So we want to recognize that. So we're going to hand out general awards. And general is probably a bad term here, but we want to recognize your students for doing well, for completing challenges, for being part of the team. So we've kind of created these various titled awards that we'll be handing out throughout the tenure of the competition.
And these awards, are they paper-based? Are they badges? Are they digital awards? What are they? Singing telegram from me? What happens here?
So we're working on creating this kind of this kind of plaque that anyone can generate digitally, and then if they want to print it and hand it out, they can do so. So we're just gonna create this kind of we're gonna also, other than all of these awards, we're gonna create those what we call badges that teachers can just generate automatically and select the student that would get it, and it would just generate this award that thank you so much for your immense participation or your very hard work with their name on it, and it's going to be very fun.
Right on. Well, hey, I love awards, but we gotta get the work done before then. So, Trevor, take us through some of the nuts and bolts about the next steps before the competition begins. And I recognize folks are channeling questions through here. A lot of information is available on CoderZLeague.com, and our facilitators will do our best to get back to you. That includes those of you who are maybe listening in and preparing to join. So if you need help, if you need support coming aboard, let us know. But for those of you who are getting ready, let's talk about the next steps, Trevor.
Yeah, I know we're quick on time here, or close on time, so I'll try to be quick. But I wanted to share, I get a lot of questions of teachers who are, science teachers. They're not coding teachers. They don't have a background in coding. They're intimidated by CoderZ League because they don't have that coding skill or coding background. So I want to say, don't be intimidated. I want to share kind of some next steps and what the role is of a teacher, A, before the competition begins, and then B, during the competition, kind of what happens during those phases. So number one, before the competition, as you register for CoderZ League, you're registering for either a team, a class, or a school, and then you are creating classes. So it's as simple as giving your class a great name. Keep in mind that this great name is going to be how your class is going to be represented on the leaderboards. So I wouldn't use a generic period A or third period STEM. You use your school mascot. Can I have your team collaborate together and come up with a unique name and say, okay, our first order of business today, team, you're going to come up with a name. So have them come up with a great name, and this is going to be how that your class is going to be represented on that leaderboard. After you create that team name, you're brought to this next screen here, which is selecting the courses that you're making available to that class. So here, obviously, you're going to select CoderZ League. We also have available the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. This is a great way to get your students to practice. Kind of replicates an Amazon warehouse. You can code the little robot, the Hercules robot around, drive it around, and gives you a feel for how CoderZ works and how the simulation works. So kind of practice packs, practice missions along there. And then after you select the courses that you want to make available to those students, you are given a class code, which is a way to invite students into that class. So that URL on the screen with the black bar there, ignore that because that's the individual class code for my demo class that I created here. But you're going to get a link just like that. You can share that with your students, put it in your Google Classrooms, put it in your share it via Zoom meeting or your chat, however you're communicating with students. This is how they're going to create their accounts and enroll into that course that you've just selected for them or that class you've created for them.
Now, Trevor, you cannot change the team name once it's been set, right?
That is a good question. I believe you can.
Yeah, the teacher can modify both the name and the flag as the competition progresses. Only from the teacher panel you can change them.
Okay.
Just to remind you, the team flag will when you move on to the group stage and the playoffs, the flag will be on top of your robot when you play for the whole world to see. So it's going to be very cool.
Wow, that is cool. That's amazing. And the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge is not a place where you acquire points. Is that correct? It's a place where instead you can go and get familiar with the environment.
That is correct. Yeah, so that is open and available to all teams that have currently registered. They should be able to go in there and use that today, tomorrow. It's kind of a great place, a playground to practice and figure out, how Blockly works, how CoderZ works. But again, it's not scored. It is not part of CoderZ League. It's just an add-on for your teams to practice.
Okay, and speaking of teams, you don't have to be part of a school. You can be part of a learning pod, a collection of kids that you're mentoring, an after-school club. Independent of a school, anyone can join as a team. Can you confirm that for me?
That is confirmed, absolutely. In class, after school clubs, small teams, and anybody is welcome to join.
Right on. Okay, so talk about walkthroughs and tutorials so we get our teachers, facilitators, mentors, and parents set up for success.
So don't worry about taking notes during that step-by-step process that I gave you on how to create your classes. We do have walkthroughs available. Once you have your account set up, you'll see your username on the top left-hand or top right-hand side of the screen. It's reversed on my video here. On the top right-hand side of your screen, you'll see your name. There's that little badge icon there, and to the left of that is an icon with a star in the center. Those are the various walkthroughs that you have available to you. One of them is creating a class, so that'll guide you through that creating a class process step by step. We also have kind of the written tutorials on our knowledge base. So going to that knowledge base link, which is also available through the help file in the CoderZ app. So clicking on help will bring everybody to that knowledge base. You can look at teacher first steps. There's some troubleshooting articles, as well as information on how to set up classes, how to enroll students, and there's some classroom management features in there as well.
Now, if a teacher already has, say, for example, CR 101, which is a course within CoderZ. CoderZ is a curriculum that schools use in class as electives or for clubs throughout the year. Now, it's separate from the CoderZ League. The question is, if you're in the curriculum platform using, say, Cyber Robotics 101, will CoderZ League show up as another course in that platform?
Maybe. So,
Maybe. Okay.
right now, the answer is maybe. You may have two accounts in the CoderZ system. Let me kind of add a little disclaimer here. You know, anybody who's been using the CoderZ platform may have gotten a pop-up message on their screen over the last couple of days saying we're going to be under maintenance coming on October 11th. So that October 11th maintenance is going to make a lot of changes to the back end. So essentially, what that's going to do is put everything under kind of restructure our licensing, where everything's going to be licensed by course. So students will be available to be enrolled in multiple courses. So they can participate in Cyber Robotics 101 in a class, and then they can enroll into a separate class, which may be CoderZ League. It might be the Amazon Cyber Robotics Challenge. So students will be able to enroll into multiple different classes after that update on October 11th.
Okay, and that's the whole goal there is to streamline, which is good. Now, as we think about during the competition, not only the technical next steps, but there are things you can do based on what we've seen over the years during the competition to help motivate students. So if you think back to our goal of making this a successful experience for all, we believe in the power of celebration. Along the way, it isn't just about the digital badge or the paper certificate. There are other ways that teachers are using to incentivize their students, either through prizes, silly tickets, looking at the leaderboard. Really find it's important to maintain motivation. We also have found that some students are strong in one area and not as strong in another. So the missions are skill-centered, which means you can find a way to individualize the experience and play up to the strengths of each given student. We also think it's important to assign roles. So you need a team captain and an assistant captain. So that captain, she might need an assistant to help pull the herd together and get everyone moving forward. We find that's really good. Team analysts are also a really good role to help monitor success, look for areas of improvement. This is really starting to foster 21st century skills, including communication and collaboration. Every good project needs a good project manager. So if you have a kid who's good at the nuts and bolts, can track progress, organize schedules, that's fantastic. Every good organization needs a compliance manager. We all have them. And a rules expert is a good assignment for a kid who loves to lean in and find out how the rules apply and how can we make the most of it. And then, of course, you have your natural born cheerleaders. These are the boys and girls, the young men and women who just love to pump it up. So get them going on social media. We're actually going to be issuing challenges and recognizing teams for their contributions to help pump up the volume about this whole thing. And I bet if you have a team, you can already start to place your kids in certain roles to help drive that team spirit. So we really do believe that's the right way to go. As we start to wind down, don't forget, you can register up until November 2nd. The preliminaries will be opened on October 19th. So if you haven't done so, if you wanted to use this webinar to understand more about how it works and to meet some of the people behind the platform, we're glad you're here. Now you can head on over to CoderZLeague.com/register. For those of you who are registered, and maybe we didn't get to your questions, we are going to do our best to go through all of the notes that we took answer your questions one-on-one or in a further broadcast coming up next week. You can go to CoderZLeague.com, submit a contact us form. We'll do everything we can to make sure you're set up for success. Yossi, Trevor, and to the hundreds of people who have joined on from now, it looks like 5 continents. Thank you all for being here. Any parting words, Yossi or Trevor?
Well, we're so excited to have you. It's going to be an amazing experience. It's super exciting, especially for the students. So we hope you join.
Yeah, I want to echo that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having an interest in CoderZ League. We hope that you sign up. And thanks for all that you do. We know this is a strange year in class or in hybrid or in remote learning. So we appreciate you being here and giving CoderZ League a chance to be part of that curriculum deployment, however that may be.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to leave this session live. We'll have some informal chat now. That will allow you to pop in any last-minute questions that you might have had. I know many of you are juggling schedules across the many time zones that we have you here. So this concludes the formal portion of our presentation. We'll stay on for just a few minutes, allow those final questions to roll in, and then we'll be following up soon. Folks, we wish you nothing but the best of luck, and we are really excited about what you're going to do. Please note there is another webinar coming up on the 12th at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll send out invites. We'll again review some of the material today, including technical questions. It may be an opportunity for you to dig a little bit deeper after you've been poking around the website. Just know that we're here to support you. You can submit the contact us and we'll come running. So thank you all for attending, and may the code be with you. Trevor, Yossi, thanks so much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's late for you, so it's probably close to bedtime. Again, folks, we're going to go into the informal chat session post-webinar, and this is where it will give you a chance to post any of your questions. So I'm going to keep tracking these. I see a few questions coming in, and Trevor and Yossi, you're welcome to, without naming names, try and answer some of these questions. So we're going to do our best.
Do you want me to open up this chat window and just kind of grab a question and ask myself the questions that I see should be answered? For sure. So if you have a question, you can go to the CoderZ League website. Good question about downloading logos. You know what, folks? I'm in the communications group. We're going to make those available to you. So we'll create a separate section for you to go ahead and download logos and images that you can use to help spread the word. If you need individualized support, again, go to the website, submit contact us, and we'll help you out however we can. I see a question. Are you going to have a spring competition? That is a great question. It's still up in the air at this point. Essentially, we'll start taking surveys from participants in this fall league. We'll see how much interest there is and whether we can run the same competition in the spring, whether we have to come up with new challenges. But we'll certainly having that discussion. We did have one last year. So last year there was a fall and spring competition. So there is certainly the potential for a spring competition, but we're not ready to commit to that just yet.
So a couple of questions. Let's see. In the regional playoffs, you'll be able to submit your code you'll be able to alter your code between rounds. Basically, Yossi, do I have this right? Every time you execute, it's recorded, and basically it's the last one before the deadline that is scored. Is that right?
Correct. Just like a task on university.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
up until the deadline. Yes, I remember sweating many a late night. One question came up about using logos on T-shirts. I don't see why not, folks. Go for it. That's a great incentive for kids, by the way. They love T-shirts. So I say go for it. Just so long as you're not, you know, I don't want to see them on eBay. Okay, you know, out there in a few weeks. For those of you who joined, we had a second participant from Ghana, so I'm feeling really good about that region of the world and your chances. Yes, everything we've talked about here today does apply in terms of accessibility, prelims, being assigned to group stages based on seed, and then working your way through the playoffs and into the finals. So we hope to see you there.
Can students participate multiple times a day, meaning during multiple class periods or in school or at home? That answer is yes. Every student will have their own account to CoderZ. They can log in from anywhere. They can log in from the classroom. They can log in from study hall. They can log in from soccer practice. They can log in from home, anywhere there's a Chrome browser and an internet connection.
Nice. Now, it is not optimized for iPad. That was a question that came up a little bit early. So it is, it really shows up strong on Chromebooks. There's no native app for the iPad, or
Android.
And there is for Android.
There is not.
Nor for Android. Forgive me. There's no native apps. That's right. For iOS or Android, but it shows up strong on a Chromebook. It does not show up as strong on an iPad.
It will work on a Mac. So if you do have a Mac, MacBook running Chrome, that is a compatible device. PCs, obviously, Chromebooks are compatible devices. We are not supported for mobile devices, which are iPads or Android tablets.
Got it. One question came up towards the end. Are there registration fees? Yes, there are fees. You can go to CoderZLeague.com/register and you'll see the fees. We've tried to organize this so that it's the pricing's right-sized for the size of your team, whether it's a small group of 5, class of 30, or coming in as a school. I will say also that if you are in a Title I setting where you have the right percentage of students eligible for free and reduced lunch, so you are a Title I school, then you actually have a 40% discount off the registration fees. And that shows up on the registration page. CoderZ will work on, will it work on Chrome for iOS? Yeah, that's right, it will work on a Mac. But will it work, Trevor, on a Chrome browser on an iPad?
It will not, no.
Okay. Okay,
I tried it at home.
Tried it at home, didn't fire up, okay.
Could a student be representative on multiple challenges? That answer is yes. If a student is your highest score on one of the preliminary final challenges, they can now attempt a second preliminary final challenge. And if they get the highest score on that challenge in your class, they're going to represent that class on the leaderboard. So yes, the same student can be the representative or kind of be your class leader for all 4 of the preliminary challenges, as well as for that final group stage.
Can you replace team members as you go throughout the duration of the competition?
Yes, you can deactivate a student account in order to make room for more students. That shouldn't be a problem. You just hand out the link, then the student joins, and if the class is already full, you can just choose to deactivate one of the students and place one of the students instead. And also, if you want to reactivate the student, then it kind of remembers what the student that you deactivated, so there won't be this feel bad moment of, wow, I've lost all my progress just because the teacher thought I'm leaving, but I'm not.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Let's see. If you want to share out this link, we can send that to you. Someone noted that you might have 100 or more Robotics Leagues coaches that you support. I would submit that we can set up a special webinar for those 100 coaches and walk them through that. So that's something available to you if you're still on the line, but I'll make a note of that as well.
The other question for the Junior League, can kids in grade 4 participate? If you think your 4th graders are ready to participate in CoderZ League Junior, we will be glad to have them and invite them into the competition. I guess keep in mind that they are going to be competing against mostly students that are older than them and potentially more experienced than them. But again, that's up to you. If you want to register them, we'll be glad to have them and welcome them into CoderZ League Junior.
I think we're getting, let's see. So one question about the, so they have more than 30 students interested and want to pay for the school registration. Can we switch that adjustment to a full school? And I'm going to go ahead and say I don't see why not. Trevor,
Yeah,
can you
reach out.
confirm?
Yeah, confirm. We can if somebody wants to change their registration, we can certainly. If I'm assuming they've already paid for one, or are they just trying to change the system? So the answer is yes. Certainly talk to us at the end, and either our sales staff or our support staff will help you with that solution.
Okay. And if you want to convert, let's say you paid for a class of 30, and you instead of having them represented as one team, you want to convert into 6 teams of 5 by paying the difference. Yeah, we can accommodate that for sure. Trevor, and I can say that confidently because Trevor is the one who has to do all that work. So sure, go for it. Let's see. Okay. I think we're winding down. There's a few questions left, but I know we're 20 minutes past the hour. If you have any questions on our website, you can refer back to this webinar and pose your question, and our support team, led by Trevor here on the line, Yossi, who works 20 hours a day and night, will be there to support you. Just let us know how we can help.
Yep, my team will be your primary contact. When I don't know the answer, I go to the guy, in this case, to my right. So if I don't have the answers, I'm sure we'll get them for you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate your time. Yossi, it's late. You've been rocking and rolling. Appreciate you. And to our moderator on the back end, I think we can now officially close out the webinar. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you so much
Thanks, everybody.
for joining. Bye.